Say hello to you today. I am being asked to speak of different things today. I hope you will find this video interesting nevertheless. For I was going to speak about this painting. That's an astrological self-portrait with 140 planets, and go into the mythology and the power of astrology, and because we all have those incredible planets that are connected to us, affect us unconsciously. But right now I feel like speaking of astrology, mythology, exopolitics, metaphysics, all those things is I've already spoken a lot about that, and I'm being asked to address certain ideas about politics, about what the function. And so I thought to look at my society where I am here right now. For I lived 20 years in America, and I've been back in France here 18 years. So I have a different perspective in terms of certain things are better in America, so maybe some other things are better in France. But we all have certain challenges. Every country has challenge. And so there is every problem was created with a solution. Whenever man creates a problem, the universe already has the solution, and there are solutions beyond the solutions. For many leaders are looking to solve short term. They're trying to do short term things, but they do not always see medium and long terms. They have a lot of ideas, but some they do not have, or they all don't have ideals. And so in many sense, because if we only address the problem short term, it's like we're rejecting the problem on the next generation. It's like after me the flood. It's like doesn't matter after me, no matter what. It is good to know that we're gonna leave the planet in a more conscious than we found it. So in essence, in short term, we cannot satisfy all of the people, because people have to be responsible for their own reality, what they create, what they choose. And if they become submissive to a system that is oppressive or tyrannic, then they become victims. But they have to return to their own power. And so I want to say the democracy and republic is two different things. I will invite you to read the Republic of Plato, for there is a lot of philosophers that discuss the difference between democracy and republic. But in many sense, and Lao Tzu, the great master of wisdom, in the Tao Te Ching, explained you do not want to give the power to rule over a country to someone who's not afraid of that, because there is so much responsibility in that function. So anybody that has any kind of wisdom would not want this charge. Yet, as a Platonician, I know that philosophers have to be the ones that are elevated into this position, people that have really thought in the sense of how to make things work for the greatest good of all. And so the philosophers are the best able to do that. And so in some sense, because if we're totally Democrat, we're going to pick somebody else out, anybody, as long as he has a nice costume, he makes nice speech, and we'd say, well, let's put him there. He's got a nice costume, he makes nice speech, so we'll use that. But in many sense, we have to work to find. We need to find leaders that are transparent and that are sincere, honest, and transparent. Which is, for the program is moving. I'm not blaming the actor of the game, no matter what their agenda may be. There is all kinds of, there is a scene that is happening, and so everything will works itself out. There is a great deal of transformation that is underfoot. Here in France, there was an attack on the retired people, because they were taxed. First, they pay tax on their retirement check, which is completely nonsense. They already paid those taxes. They don't need to be burdened, unless they're speculative on some market and making tons of money as a retired person. Then they need to be taxed. But otherwise, the taxation that they've already subscribed for their retirement check, they should not be taxed. Second thing, they augmented the CSG, which is the social contribution. So that means that every person that's retired has lost 10, 15, 20% of his buying power. So everybody's like squeezed. The thing is, the retired people, the older people, do not have they're not going to go on the street to create to protest. And so now it's like all this anger has been sent into the context of the race of the fuel. And so the first thing will be to make all the people that are retired. They are the ones who have created the civilization we are now. We should be grateful that they're still here. They have so much experience, and so we should respect our elders and not to use them as like they are now. Second thing about education. Well, those are just general ideas I'm offering. Use for your consideration. Those things that can be applied in many places in the world, and I think will definitely fluidify the systems of those just little ideas, but they're just avenues, sorts, possibility. The first thing is to understand education has to be mandatory from birth to death. It's not like we're going to be forced to learn something every day, but the understanding that life is meant to, we have to learn something every day. We have to enrich ourselves, to continue to grow, not just to wait there that it is that it falls from the sky. We have to produce something in order for it to come back to us. And one system that could be worked out that could definitely assist is that when a child gets to the age of 13 years old, or 12 or 13, he becomes the tutor of a 10-year-old child. And so every children will, at 10 years old, will get two tutor that will be 2-3 years older. Of course, it can be changed depending on the personalities and affiliation and character and vibration, but he would responsibilize the children to say, well, you have the responsibility to be the tutor to a younger child, and then that would create a social link for their whole life. They will create. These simple ideas. I don't know how it can be implemented, but create this tutorial system during all as you become. A teenager, you take the responsibility to assist and help a younger child, and so each child would have two tutors. That's just one avenue. I was talking about the roads. In France, we have roads that you have to pay for. Not only they have no light, there are only 2 lanes, and even when there is construction and you have to drive, you still pay like very expensive. So I really think the first thing to do is to make those roads free and clear, to clear up the roads and to make them free, for it is very important. I'm sorry for those who are using this as a mean of support of financing their life, but in many sense, those private companies they are very expensive, and they create all kinds of problem in the circulation, the flow during the vacation. And to put all the train in like in Switzerland on the rail, so this, because the roads are very used by the trucks are really what uses the road the most and cause the most. So we put them on. So that I think that will definitely be a good solution. I think we have to find solution where there is a lot of countries that have already resolved certain problems that we have not. So we have to look into other places to discover avenues of growth and understanding. For instance, Norway. I've never been to Norway, but I've been observing. It's like they have some big petroleum reserve, and they've been exporting this petroleum. But exporting this petroleum will allow them to create schools, to create hospitals, and so they roads, and so they have been intelligent in using that. And another thing that's been the Norwegian have done better than others is during the crash of 2008. There was a lot of bankers that were caught at the hand in the bag doing criminal activities. And instead, what they did is that, something very bizarre, but they found those people that were involved in criminal activities, they put them in jail. And then they nationalized the bank and re-established functional work, which is not what happened in America or the other places in Europe. The bankers say, well, you got stolen $100 billion, so you're going to give us $100 million in fine, so like to save faith, and then we'll give you another $100 billion to continue your activity because you're too big to fail. That doesn't work, because it is because they have not made those they have not closed down the criminal activities. Of course, there's good banks and good bankers, and there are people of light everywhere. I'm just saying of the whole system. They have not stopped the criminal activities of those banking organizations, and that is really what's going to create this huge financial crisis that is around the corner. The only way we're going to re-establish a functional society is to return to the gold standard. There's going to be a re-evaluation of all the world assets, what is real, what is not real. All the speculative account does not exist. It's just two people that are exchanging papers all day. At the end, they have a number, and they're trying to reintegrate it into their account. But this is, I'm not talking about the stock market. The stock market is a viable ways of financing enterprise, and so it will work. The only danger with that is that if you invest in a stock market and you're making money from your investment, and the company is doing criminal activities to achieve that goals, then your money is soiled with blood, or there's a lot. So in many sense, you want to know that you invest in companies that have a sense of ethics. So for those who believe in karma, so you don't share the karma of the company by profiting from criminal activities. Well, those may be common sense, but then I want to in essence, we want to move the world from a state of lack to a state of abundance. That's why when we move into this re-evaluation, every citizen of the world will receive money from their government as excess tax that has been paid for so long. Those things that were completely criminal in relation to they were here to put them to enslave humanity in this system. And once again, I'm not criticizing. It's part of the show, the program, but we need to find our own freedom within that, and to assist the transformation as much as we can. Then in terms of immigration, in France we have this problem with immigration. This immigration was created by corporate wars. They were financed by the corporation and bankings and so on. And so the idea was to start a third world war. It didn't work. And so now they have migration flows that are invading Europe. So in many sense it is the barbarian invasion. It is like a horse of Troy. It is like they were created that to collapse Europe. But understanding for one family, they show us on TV, there is 10,000 men that do not, they can't read and write, and they're single, and so those people will have to go back home. For what we have, what they're seeking to get here is a handout in many sense, and so the solution to be human is to when we understand that they are arriving by a certain port. So the idea is to go to where the port where they not where they arrive, but where they leave the boats, and to create a city, a university city, where they will be able, once they get to the frontiers of Europe, we feed them, we give them assistance in medical, whatever, and then we send them back to this city university, and then they qualify, then they learn the language of the city they want to integrate, then they learn something that will allow them to qualify for immigration, because they will have something to contribute, because the result is that there is thousands of people that are peddling in the streets of Europe, and those people are just what do we do with them? It's like they do not want to do anything else. For my attitude in relationship to peddlers is that, of course, I have some friends that hate those people, but I think they're in a worse condition than I am for being where they are. So I always keep a little coins to give them. So it makes them very happy. It doesn't solve their problem, but it makes them happy. And for me, it doesn't cost me all that much. Although sometimes once I was going to give something to a beggar, and my spirit said, no, not him. And so I didn't do that, because the person might have had some criminal activity in mind and using the money that he would get for his criminal activity. So I didn't want my money to be used for those things. But in a general sense, it's better to give a little coin to someone who's asking for it than to be stingy and arrogant in relation to the difficult condition of those people. So in many sense, so all those who have been able to migrate, migration is part of the process. We want to be able to be free and travel, but in many sense, they will have to go back home and build a society where they were born. For whatever we have is because we built it, and so they completely qualify, if they get education, to create a society in all those worlds that will be functional. For there is all the individual case. I'm talking from a general standpoint. And so we need to we can't yeah, I wanted to say also, they said that the more public service, well, it's more a French story, though I'm not really sure it appropriate. Well, maybe I said because it may affect other countries, and it's like, for instance, we said that the more taxes we pay, the better service we'll have. But in many sense, there is a lot of things that are being financed with our money that is not public service. For instance, I was friends with a girl a long time ago. Her father, she was adopted. Her father was a high government official, and he had adopted 13 children. And each of the 13 children had a 2,000 square feet beautiful apartment in the 16th arrondissement, one of the best arrondissement of Paris. Each of the 13 children had a function apartment, and I'm sure he himself had this big mansion. And all of that, so I'm not saying to throw those people on the street, but there are thousands and thousands of those people and families that are really enjoying all kinds of privilege, but it is the French people that are paying. If everybody was wealthy, it's no problem. What we want to do, don't want to throw those people on the street, but we want to stop the problem from one generation to another, where certain privilege have to end, have to stop. For when somebody has done a great deal of work for the Republic, he has to be rewarded. But there is certain things that are not so obvious, that are costing a lot of money to all to everyone else, and sometimes there is even social for there are abuse on every level. We have to find a balance. Of course, those things are not meant to be a criticism. They're just illustration of some of the. I'm more an anthropologist here. And so I thought I addressed those short ideas. I think that's basically what I wanted to. Yeah, and we're going to move. We're going to be discovering technology. There are technologies that already exist on the earth that certain families possess that would have solved the problem of energy, the problem of pollution and energy. Those 0-point technology have been on the planet for decades, but those families do not want to release it to the public because they'll lose the power they have. And so, in many sense, those technology will come into and will free the world from one generation to the next. We're going to solve all of our electrical pollution and problems as we love and respect each other. We'll be able to find peace, and so I'm very optimistic in relation to all that is coming. We'll pull one card, and it is the Amerindians. So it's about being at peace. Those are the original citizens of America were the Amerindians, and so I'm not really sure they have that much more right than the average also American. But in many sense, they are people that are connected to the land. They are connected. They are the keepers of some codes of the DNA. They have the red race is the first race, and so they should be respected. And eventually we're gonna be able to honor every being in the world, and we'll live in freedom. So I hope this message was interesting to you. I've been asked to go into like more down to earth certain to present certain ideas and for those things needs to be every idea needs to be considered, and then collectively we should be able to self-determine towards a solution that could do the least. For every change will create disruption, for we want change, but we don't want to let go of what we have. so we have to trust, and so we move into a new future, but it's something that will come progressively. For whatever change we make, we cannot satisfy in the short term the needs of everybody. They have to satisfy their own need. As a government, I would think that the future government will have to be transparent and fully serving the people in finding the cohesion, helping people to discover their own power, their own creativity, their own prosperity. Until men discover moral and ethics, we need restrictive law to prevent them from going beyond, because their greed is bigger than their sometimes the greed is like too so we need laws to keep them in check. And in many sense, the internet is becoming is like a free jungle for economy, and those power, of course. All those big companies may be good intention. They're uniting the world. They're creating a new consciousness on the planet, but they're playing God, and they do not know the 12th article of the United Nations for the human right, the right to privacy. They completely, it's like they're no longer privacy. They're spying everything. They're reselling the information. We are the product of it is our own life that fuels the product of those people, but they do not ask permission. They just do it. So there's going to be all kinds of awakening, awareness, and we'll create as the problem and the solution comes about, we'll create a place, systems of law that function, that can regulate that, so that we can work together better, and the quality of life, like I said, is going to become essential. The quality of life on the planet, the quality of life within ourselves, the ability to enjoy life we have to return, rather than technology was created to increase the quality of life, but we're becoming submissive, robotic in relation to those technology. So we're going to have to return to technologies to become master of those technology, not to let them to become submissive to all those little powers that are trying to infiltrate our life and to make us submit to some kind of illusionary tyranny or illusionary temporal illusion, for we are eternal beings of light. And so we need to return to that freedom, that self-empowerment. I hope this message was interesting for you. I'll just finish with a few words. It's a song, but the song goes like this. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that they're just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. So there is no need for lacking love, for love is our essence, is our truth. Let us cultivate that love. Let's fill the world with love. Let's fill everybody with love. Once we have discovered love, the solution will find themselves. Of course, it's maybe easier said than done, but we're working in that direction. I hope you find this message interesting. I wish you a wonderful day. I'll talk to you later.